everyone, I'm Dalton Burdett.
I'm Ryan Warner.
And we are the Movie Nights. Well, some of them. And if you're watching us because you want to hear our uncensored, unfiltered thoughts and opinions about the world of movies, we forgot the snacks this time. I fucking forgot to make the toast.
Yeah, no worries.
It's all good. I was going to make peanut butter toast. Also, if you can hear my dryer, sorry. Laundry day. It happens.
Adult life.
Yeah. So, dude, how are you? I feel like it's been a while since we've done this.
It feels like a while, yeah. I'm good. How are you? Just enjoying some movies, I hope?
Yeah, I mean, just living life.
Yeah, living like Larry.
Living like Larry. We just had the contrition premiere at the OIF, Orlando Independent Filmmakers Edge Challenge at the AMC in Altamont Springs. It went really well. I think we screened very well. The awards ceremony are in November. We'll see how we do.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
A really, really fun event. Awesome people. Awesome everything. Had a great time.
Yeah. But let's talk about some movies, because that's really why we're here.
Yes. So for today's topic, we're going to talk, basically, we were having a discussion a little bit before the show about franchises and how some franchises tend to thrive and do really well from beginning to end. Some don't do well in the beginning, and then randomly they pick up and then they continue doing great. And then there are some franchises that started at the top and then have just slowly fizzled out and haven't really been the same. Mm-hmm. Even though they come out with a new movie, people just don't care because of the direction the franchise has gone. Mm-hmm. It's a very fascinating thing to think about, like where franchises have gone, where they can go. So I just wanted to talk about that today. Was there something you wanted to start it with, or did you want me to start with one?
Yeah, so I guess I could just talk about James Bond, which franchise spotlight is still in the works.
Supposedly.
Yeah, it's harder than it looks.
Allegedly.
You can't find James Bond movies anywhere.
I'm joking.
Unless you guys want to pitch in some money and we can get some James Bond. But yeah, so shameless plug. Yeah, so the success of James Bond, the new one, No Time to Die, actually just wrapped shooting. Yes, so it's in the editing phase right now with possible reshoots.
The camera was speeding for a while.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I feel like the success of James Bond is due to the fact that it is very timeless, that you can adapt it to any story, any modern story going on in the real world, starting with Sean Connery in the early 60s, and then you have like the Russians in the 70s and the Cold War and whatnot, really to make it timeless. And even though espionage, like you can really do anything with espionage and like thrillers and stuff like that, so having like a mole with Skyfall is a big deal, because like the whole Edward Snowden thing happened around the same time, where he like leaked classified government intelligence. So it's like a lot of the James Bond movies mirror what's happening in real life, and I actually talked about that in a few of the episodes of Franchise Spotlight. So I think that helps a lot with the success of James Bond. But what other franchises come to mind for you?
For me, a big one that comes to mind is Fast and the Furious.
Okay.
And the reason that franchise is unique is because it started off, the first for Fast and the Furious is just a blatant ripoff of Point Break.
Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous. It's just a much worse version of Point Break. Then the second one wasn't very great. Third one was okay, but it's like they were for a very niche audience. People who loved cars, people who loved racing. If you talk to those people, they love those original three a lot, because that's where the majority of the focus was. And then the fourth one comes out where Paul Walker and Vin Diesel were back. People were like, all right, that was neat, whatever. But the franchise was just kind of meddling about to die. And then suddenly, Fast 5 came out. And everyone who hated every single Fast and Furious movie were like, you know what? That was a pretty damn fun movie. I really liked Fast 5. And it made a shit ton of money. You brought The Rock into it. You turned it from a racing franchise into an action heist franchise with bits of the racing. And the franchise just took off from there to where, Fast 6 even made more money, or around the same. Don't quote me on that. But then 7 made $1 billion. And then they're fortunate passing of Paul Walker, but they continue with 8. And then now they have a spin-off. They had Hobbs and Shaw. Like, that franchise is going nothing but up.
Yeah.
And, from where it started and how much, if you look at how much money those first movies made compared to the last movies, it's ridiculous how much more improved it became. And just it was a franchise that just started dying and then just Viagra'd itself to going back up. It's really fascinating to look at how they literally gained a new audience from people who had never seen the first movies to just start watching and go. And now people go back and watch the old ones. Sometimes they hate them. Sometimes they still like them.
Yeah.
And just that the fact that they were able to have different types of audiences. And that franchise is one of the biggest arguments for the success of diversity in films. So whether you love or hate those movies, those films are very much promotions of having diverse friends and, family, but it's, and so that's why the audience comes out in spades to watch them, is because almost every type of person is represented in those movies.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really fascinating to look at Fast and the Furious in a way. Like, it's a really successful franchise, but it wasn't always.
Yeah.
It was not always. But yeah.
Yeah, I talk about this movie all the time, and so do we on the podcast. But Halloween, while I haven't seen every single Halloween movie, that genre really just killed itself, because not only with the Halloween franchise it died, but Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, like all those slasher movies that have had franchises after the first movie just really imploded on itself and just really started to kick itself in the knees. And
then it came back in the 90s.
Yep,
with
came
Scream.
back. Yep.
They did their own franchise. And then it died again. And then they tried to remake them, but they were horrible. Like all the remake phase of the early 2000s, and it died. And
it's just really fascinating to see how the genre kills its movies, which once made it famous.
But it talks about how time can heal wounds. Because, the Rob Zombie Halloween movies, happened in the early 2000s, the mid 2000s.
Mid 2000s, yeah.
And then there wasn't a Halloween movie for almost 10 years.
Yeah.
And not only was there not a Halloween movie for 10 years, but when they made the new one with Blumhouse, they're like, it's a sequel to the original.
Yeah, they were
and suddenly
erasing all
excitement for that movie just went through the roof, because it had been 10 years since a Halloween movie had come out.
Yeah.
So even though the franchise wasn't in the great place when it died, it had been 10 freaking years. And if you love that first movie, or if you love some of those movies, it's like, I'm getting another Halloween movie. I'm going to go.
Yeah.
That movie made a crap ton of money when on its opening weekend.
And I'm with those people who were like, oh, I'm kind of worried about this. And then once they were like, no, it's just a sequel to the first one, I was completely on board after that.
Yeah.
And
it's about marketing. It's about timing.
Yeah. And it's very interesting to see where they're going to take these. Is it 2 sequels? Yeah, it's Halloween Kills and
Halloween Ends.
Halloween Ends, yeah. So I'm kind of worried about those 2 sequels, because I'm worried it's going to follow the trend of the genre killing itself again.
Yeah.
So I hope that doesn't happen, but very, very intrigued to see what happens with the Halloween sequels. And it begs the question if Nightmare on Elm Street's going to come back and heal its wounds, or all these other popular slasher films. Black Christmas. Black Christmas is coming out, but
coming out,
we'll see how that one goes.
Yeah, but it's really interesting to look at. Another franchise I want to bring up is the Jason Bourne franchise.
Okay.
That franchise has kind of been up and down. Bourne Identity comes out, which, by the way, is a remake that not many people know.
Really?
There was a television movie, Bourne Identity, in the 90s or late 80s, because it's based on a book series.
Okay.
And they made Bourne Identity with Matt Damon, who people forget at that time, Matt Damon was not identified with action. He was Good Will Hunting. He was the drama guy.
Yeah. And
they're trying to pit him as this big action star. And a lot of people were like, nah. Like when you look at hype coming out for that movie and you look at stuff, it's like, can Matt Damon, can he do something like this? Fucking yeah, I did it in spades. But with that first Bourne Identity movie, which was made by Doug Lineman, really great reactions from critics and audiences, and a sequel was inevitable at that point. They make Bourne Supremacy, which is my favorite Bourne movie, even though everyone else's is the third one. I love the second Bourne movie. There's one fight scene that's really bad, but the rest
is that
of the
the shaky cam one?
Yeah. Bourne utilized the shaky cam, but 90% of the shaky cam in Bourne is shaky cam done correctly.
Okay.
It's not to hide bad choreography. It's just a stylistic choice, and you can tell that the choreography's sound and that everything's great. They just use it as a stylistic manner. And unfortunately, it created many copycats of movies trying to do it like that and doing it poorly.
Yeah.
But Bourne Supremacy, there is a fight scene where it's done very poorly. But, and then Bourne Ultimatum comes out, and then the money went zoop, and the critics went zoop, and everyone loves Bourne 3, Bourne Ultimatum, and it's a great movie. And then nothing for 5-6 years, because it seemed like the logical conclusion to the Bourne franchise.
Yeah.
And then Bourne Legacy comes out with Jeremy Renner. And it was very much so made as all right, we're going to start a new franchise with Jeremy Renner in the lead. And that movie takes place concurrently with Bourne Ultimatum, just on the other side of the world.
Sure, yeah.
And it's okay, they're tying it into the world, trying to, create a cinematic universe here. All right, let's see what goes on. It's an all right movie. It's pretty good. The end, I don't like how it ends at all. but it was clearly made with the purpose of doing more, and they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it made enough money to justify it, and the critics were very split on it. And so that kind of seemed like, all right, that's kind of the end of the Bourne franchise for a while. But then, 2016, Matt Damon and Paul Greengrass, who directed Bourne 2 and 3, are coming back for another Bourne movie. And there was some genuine excitement about that. People were like, holy shit, Matt Damon's coming back to play Jason Bourne again? And some people were like, are they going to talk about Jeremy Renner? Are they going to... It started to generate excitement, but then it came out, and not many people liked it.
Yeah.
And when those reviews came out, not many people went to see it. And the Bourne franchise, as we know it right now, is dead.
Mm-hmm.
They could make another one, but they expected that Jason Bourne movie to do a lot better than it did. And I don't dislike it. A lot of people really dislike that movie. I didn't hate it. Is it great? No. But I didn't hate it at all.
Yeah.
And that's just an example of having a franchise that peaked and then just put itself in the ground.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's
Do you think it's because they were trying to do too much? Or like they wasted too much time in between each movie?
No, because I think the fact that like Matt Damon was coming back, that was the selling point.
Okay.
And that's what got people to go see it initially. People just weren't on board with the product.
Okay.
And because that's a situation where if that movie's successful and it gets a lot of critical praise, then not only do you make another one with Matt Damon, but you bring Jeremy Renner into it again. And then you can recreate that success. I feel so bad for Jeremy Renner. He was supposed to be the front line of many different franchises, and it ended up not happening. Another franchise, which
that I actually wanted to talk about was Mission Impossible.
Yes.
Yeah. So the Fallout one came out last year.
Yep.
This is a series that's been going on since the 90s? Early 2000s?
96?
96?
Yep.
And in between each movie,
Maybe
there's a lot of time.
Late 90s, maybe 96, I don't know.
How many movies are there?
Fallout was 6.
6?
Mm-hmm.
Between last year, and then 96, there has been 6 movies in one franchise. It's insane how they're able to keep audiences and critics on board for Mission Impossible.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is, people thought Mission Impossible was dead.
Yeah. Well, what they do well that other franchises don't do that is like key for Mission Impossible is each movie ups the ante on whatever stunt they're going to do.
Oh, yeah. The spectacle is insane on those films. And it's real. It's not CG to fake. Like, there's one stunt that's just like, oh, my God.
Yeah. And hats off to Tom Cruise for that, because that is completely his idea.
That dude is fucking insane.
So, it's unfathomable how they're able to keep everyone hooked and engaged and invested into this franchise that a movie comes out every 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, and there was a gap too. Like Mission Impossible 1 was made by Brian De Palma, who made Scarface and Untouchables, like very acclaimed director. People really like it. They say it's fun, and it's based off a TV show. The Mission Impossible was a TV show, and people were like, "Oh, that was fun." And they made a second one with director John Woo. People didn't like it, and there was about a 6-year gap in between 1, 2, and 3. Like 6 years and 6 years, maybe it's 4 and then 6. I know from 2 to 3 that I believe it was 6 years.
Yeah.
And J.J. Abrams' first film, Mission Impossible 3.
Which I think is your favorite, isn't it?
One of my favorite. It's between that and Fallout.
Okay.
It goes back and forth. But I love Mission Impossible 3. But people were really worried after 2 that it wasn't very, that, and then Mission Impossible 3 happened. A lot of people liked it, but money was okay. Didn't really know what to do about it.
Yeah.
Just kind of whatever. And then 8 years, I'm going to say, or 7 years, they did Ghost Protocol, and that was the one where everyone was like, "Oh shit, Mission Impossible!" And then that's when it started going again for Mission Impossible. Director Brad Bird doing that one, and then Christopher McQuarrie,
which is very interesting because Brad Bird really does just animated movies
at the time. Yeah, I believe Ghost Protocol was his first live action film.
I think it still is.
No, he did Tomorrowland.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I forgot. Everyone forgets about that movie.
Yeah, it's good.
Yikes. But yeah, no, it's. I feel like Mission Impossible just gives directors a chance to tell their story. Brad Bird, for example, J.J. Abrams, he was only a writer and a producer before then, and now then, he's directing.
And but the thing is after Ghost Protocol, a life was revitalized in that franchise, and then more people went out to see 4 than ever, and then they went to go see 5 with Christopher McQuarrie, and there was up until that point there was a tradition that a new director would direct each movie.
Yeah.
But Christopher McQuarrie was like, I like these characters, I like this world, can I do Fallout? Can I do the next one? And they were like, sure. First time ever. And then good thing, because it's arguably the best Mission Impossible movie, because not only did they step up the stunts and the story, but the action scenes, the choreography was insane in that movie. And then now he signed on to do 2 more. He's going to do 4 in a row.
That's insane. And you know that because he's investing his time into these characters, that not only the story is going to be better, but like you said, the action is going to be better. Like we've said, the stunts are going to be even better.
Yeah.
Like that is how Mission Impossible keeps these audiences engaged, is with these stunts. Because that's certainly why I went out for Ghost Protocol and Fallout. Was like, what shenanigans are they going to pull now?
Yeah. And, you know, it's more popular now than it has ever been, which is insane, because it was decently popular with the original 3.
Yeah.
But then suddenly they just revved up that franchise. It's just crazy how the franchises work that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think a good example of a franchise that died quickly, and not died in terms of like they made a couple then stopped making them. The problem is they kept making them and they should have stopped, is Saw.
Okay, yeah.
I love the first Saw. Unabashedly, I love Saw 1. James Wan, you know how I feel about him.
Yeah.
And I love that film. Not a fan of any of the sequels. I don't think 2 is horrible, but it's not very good.
2 is the one with the son?
Yeah.
Detective Son?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
God, they're all like one movie to me.
And that's the problem, is they took what people thought they loved about Saw, which was the torture, and just made the entire franchise torture porn.
Yeah.
When that's not why people love the first Saw. Yeah, it was a little twisted and gruesome. They liked it because of the idea of 2 people trapped in a room, 2 different people who have to work together to get out. They had a plot twist that was insanely well done. That's why they liked that movie, but instead they were like, oh, torture, shit, ramp it up. And then every movie was just torture porn, no story, no characters.
Yeah.
And then they did it over and over and over again, and then that franchise, you make a new Saw movie, it's not gonna do very well.
Jigsaw fucking bomb.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Wait like 20 years and make a new Saw movie.
With Chris Rock as the producer.
Yeah, because they are going to do that.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be 20 years, but they're going to make a new Saw movie, and they're going to go in a different direction. I bet you that movie will have an audience. It will, because it's all about how you revamp and revitalize and reboot your franchise.
Absolutely.
And another franchise I want to bring up is the Star Wars franchise.
Yeah.
The original Star Wars trilogy is fucking known as some of the greatest movies of all time. 10 years later, prequels come out. All make great money. Phantom Menace had a lot of hype because, like we said, if you wait the 10 years, but I was a young kid during that time, so I don't remember all the hype, but I do remember the hype for Force Awakens.
Oh my God,
that hype was fucking real, because like we said before, 10 plus years. No, exactly.
If you just wait.
10 years. Prequels are very much so disliked by a lot of people. There are people who love them, and that's fine, but most Star Wars fans dislike the prequels. 10 years later, there's a new Star Wars movie coming out. Everyone loses their minds. Doesn't matter how bad it was before. Yeah,
because it was our first Star Wars movie that we were like, okay, we're adults and we're gonna fucking enjoy this.
Yeah. And that movie domestically has made the most money, more than any movie in the United States. And it's like, that's insane how hype, time, and revitalization can do that. And then Last Jedi made $1.5 billion, and I'm sure Rise of Skywalker is going to make around the same. Yeah. And it's crazy how you can do that.
Well, I want to go back to the original trilogy.
Okay.
Real quick. And that is just kind of George Lucas being forced to make movies. Yeah. Because I'm not sure if everyone knows this, but like Star Wars A New Hope was originally just Star Wars. Like it was just its own single movie, but because that movie had so much critical success and audience success, and it made a shit ton of money, it kind of forced George Lucas to make a second one.
Well, what happened is the first one is like a 20th Century Fox movie. And he made so much money on toy sales, because that very infamously was like, hey, I want merchandising rights, and they laughed. I'm like, but that's never going to work. And then he made a shit ton of money. He made so much money. I don't know if you know this. Empire Strikes Back is an independent film.
I did not know that.
He financed that movie himself and then sold it to Fox for distribution.
Oh, wow.
Same thing with Return of the Jedi. And he knew that he was going to finance it. He had a story. He wrote the story, but he was like, don't feel like directing these bad boys. So that's why he got Evan Kirshner and Richard Marquardt to do Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. made all the money in the world.
Yeah.
And he was able to do so. And then the prequels he made. And then, then he sold it to Disney, and we are where we are now. And the thing that's great is there's only been one Star Wars movie that was financially not successful, and that's Solo.
Okay.
And I think there were a lot of reasons for that.
Mm-hmm.
Not one reason
a lot of behind the scenes
particular.
stuff.
Yeah. It's mostly because they ballooned the budget so much, it was almost impossible for that movie to be profitable. They wouldn't change the release date when they had all the behind the scenes problems.
Yeah.
But mainly, nobody wanted that movie. Like, who were you talking to before that movie came out? Like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if they made a young Han Solo movie? People were like, I don't really know. Like, I don't really need to see a movie about young Han Solo.
Yeah.
Because we love Han Solo the way he is. And they just gave us a movie with Harrison Ford as Han Solo.
Mm-hmm.
And now, had Solo come out before Force Awakens, like if like the first Star Wars movie Disney made out of the gate was like a young Han Solo movie, I could see that movie making a lot of money. But not once you've made two, and then we just had Harrison Ford back as Han Solo, and now we're going to make a young Han Solo. It was just like... The only reason
it felt like the wrong time.
Yeah, the only reason they made it was because Lawrence Kasdan wanted to make it.
Okay.
That's the only reason it happened. And it's just like... And I like the movie. I do. I know people don't. I like that movie.
Yeah.
But like... was completely unnecessary. Didn't need to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And it made Disney kind of change their strategy a bit with what the spinoffs and what they're going to be doing now. But it was a misstep, but I don't think the Star Wars franchise is going to fucking crumble as a whole. No way.
No, not with all this shit that they're announcing now.
An example of a franchise that should have stopped and then didn't, and then got proven why they should have stopped is Rambo.
Oh my god.
First Blood's a great movie. Not the rest of them. Rambo First Blood Part 2, which, by the way, was co-written by James Cameron.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Made a ton of money. Rambo 3 did not make a ton of money. Then they waited like 15, 20 years. Made Rambo, the fourth one, the gory one. It was rad. People were like, whatever. Then they made Rambo 5 like another 10 years after that. And it didn't make a lot of money. Neither did Rambo 4. Although Rambo Last Blood made more than fucking Rambo.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my god.
But like that was a franchise that should have stopped forever ago and then just kind of kept going.
Yeah.
So there are some franchises that try to revamp and revitalize and it just doesn't work out for them.
So speaking of Sylvester Stallone, is Rocky.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Good.
Like,
yes.
Phenomenal first movie. We've talked about it before.
Yeah.
The second and third one it kind of suffers that like dip in the franchise, and then the fourth one fucking came out and just fucking peaked.
Better than anything.
Yeah, because Rocky ends the Cold War with his bare hands. I joke about that movie, but it's fun to watch.
Yeah, it's not a great movie, but it's fun.
No. And then was it 2 sequels after that?
Yeah,
with his son or whatever.
Well, they made Rocky 5,
which is the one where his wife dies.
No, they made Rocky 5 about how he trains the boxer.
Okay.
But then it just ends in a street fight, and it's not very liked, that movie.
Right. Okay.
But then, 10 years after that, they made Rocky Balboa, which was a good movie and was supposed to be the end. That was supposed to be it. Mm. And it would have ended on a high note because it made a bunch of money, it got the audience and the critics back, and it was a good movie. Mm-hmm. But no one really
cared for it?
Well, no. It was really cared for, but then years later, Ryan Coogler comes up and it's like, hey, I want to make a movie about Apollo Creed's son, and you guys own the rights, so can I do it? And he had just made Fruitile Station. It was a great movie, and they were like, all right. And they gave him the rights to do it, and Sylvester Stallone came back to play Rocky, and that franchise is still going. And
probably gave the best Rocky performance next to the first one.
Oh, yeah, and Creed? Hell yeah. And Creed 2 were both solid. Mm-hmm. And I don't think they're going to make any more. But still, if the franchise ends with Creed 2...
High note. Yeah. Because I feel like if they do a third one, it's going to suffer that franchise dip. Mm-hmm. But I haven't seen all these movies, but one last one that I can think of is Jurassic Park into Jurassic World, kind of in that Rocky to Creed.
But I want to bring something up in a minute, but go ahead with what you're going to say.
I want to preface this. Jurassic Park, I've only seen the first movie, the one by Steven Spielberg, and then both Jurassic Worlds.
Okay.
The reason I haven't seen the other ones is because I know that they're bad going in, and I don't want to put myself through that.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a case. I mean, you can speak better on this behalf, but I feel like that is just them trying to capitalize on the success of the first one and trying to rake in more money.
Nostalgia,
and just like milking the cow. But I mean, even the way Jurassic World's headed right now, I think it's in the same Same ball game that Jurassic Park was in. They're just trying to milk it because the first movie made a lot of money.
Yeah, no, it's... The crazy thing about that franchise is Spielberg did the first one. Spielberg also did the second one.
Did he really?
Yes, and the second one is not great. It has some moments, but it's not great. Third one is Ellen. It's infamously not very good.
Yeah.
The franchise dies for about 12 years, but something like that. I don't have the exact years right. Here's the interesting thing about Jurassic World, though. When I say that time can heal wounds, 2015 Jurassic World comes out. 30 years after the first one? 90s? Yeah, 30 years after the first one. Breaks the record for biggest opening weekend of all time. After a second and third movie that are awful.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, oh, people were really hungry for a new
Dinosaur movie?
For like a new Jurassic World dinosaur movie. All right. And here's the thing. Star Wars doesn't come out that year. Jurassic World holds that record past Force Awakens. You know, because Force Awakens is the one that beat it. And I forget what movie went past it later. But like a couple movies past Jurassic World before.
I think it's still in like the top.
It's number 5.
Okay, I was going to say top 5, but I definitely top 10.
But like some other movies passed it. But like Star Wars doesn't come back. It holds it for a little bit. And it's really fascinating to think about. Yeah. It had that opening weekend record. People were that hungry, and no one, not even Universal, knew. Yeah. They wanted to make money.
I feel like that'd be a risky investment going into it.
Yeah, I mean, people knew that it was going to make money, but like they had no idea that people were that hungry for a new Jurassic movie. Yeah. And Jurassic World was very split. Some people thought it was fun, some people thought it was stupid. Jurassic World 2, same thing. Jurassic World 3, we'll see. But Colin Trevorrow's coming back, so maybe it'll be nice. But yeah. But no, that was another good example of just like time, just wait.
Yeah. But do you have any other examples? Because I'm all out of franchises.
I mean, I feel like there's going to be more once we turn the cameras off. I'll be like, fuck, we could have talked about that. This might be another one where we have to do another example of it, like another episode of it. But let me see really quickly.
Because I mean, with all the franchises, at least speaking on my behalf, like we nailed pretty much every like which way a franchise can go and the examples. Yeah. Oh, we talked about this earlier. Die Hard. I haven't seen every movie, but if you want to talk about like how action can fucking kill your movie.
Die Hard is dead right now. And Fox had another movie planned, but I think Disney.
Yeah, because they knew.
Yeah, from what I understand. Well, after Fox had a bad year this year, and Disney's pissed about it, so they canceled a lot of their movies. Yeah. But there was first Die Hard is one of the best action movies ever made. Love Die Hard. I like the second one. It's cheesy as shit, but I love the second one.
I haven't seen it.
So cheesy.
The only other one I've seen is the one where they're in Russia.
Okay. Oh, that's
the one with the sun or whatever.
Horrible.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
But Die Hard 3, Nick loves Die Hard 3. That's his favorite. It's called Die Hard with a Vengeance with Samuel L. Jackson. Oh, even that movie made some money, but then that was it. It was a trilogy. It was done. And then in 2007, which I think was like maybe a little bit 10 years, maybe right before under 10 years, Live Free or Die Hard comes out. PG-13, which pissed a lot of people off. And
the other ones are R?
R.
Okay.
And it did decent money-wise, and it's not a bad movie. I think it's a good movie. I like Die Hard 4. Yeah. Waited about 8 more years. But it was still divided. It was some people really liked it, some people didn't. Die Hard 5 comes out, called A Good Day to Die Hard. Let's just say it's not good. But it's like a train wreck. I love it because it's so. I mean, it's bad. It's bad.
That's the Russian one, right?
Yeah, and it's a disgrace to the Die Hard name. But if they released a 4K, I would get it. Like it's one of those. Okay. Where it's like I don't like this movie, but I'll watch it. Just because it's so... Like,
and
it's
you can
awful.
Tell the way that franchise is headed with its names. Like a good...
Yeah.
Like, fucking Die... Like, just different ways to say Die Hard.
Yeah.
It's come on.
And just... That franchise just went... And it's dead. Yeah. But now if you release a new Die Hard movie... If they did the thing where they're making a Die Hard sequel but ignored all the Die Hard sequels... It would make money. Okay. I have a feeling, and they marketed it correctly, it would make money.
Like John McClane has been retired for a few years or whatever and comes back.
Yes. I feel like that movie could make some money. But then you'd have to get Bruce Willis to not be a dickhead, so that's going to be a little hard.
It'd be hard with all his blockbuster awards.
Right. Oh, God. But no, Die Hard's another good example of that. But yeah, no, that's pretty much it.
God damn.
I mean, there's more. I know as soon as we shut the
Yeah.
cameras off, there's going to be more. If you have a franchise that you'd like to talk about how it's complicated history throughout time, leave it in the comments below, and then maybe we can take a look at that and talk about it on the next episode that we do of this topic. But
yeah, absolutely.
But thank you guys so much for watching. Do you have anything else you want to add?
Just subscribe and follow us on social media. Dalton, where can they find us at?
They can find us on Facebook, just Movie Nights, and Instagram and Twitter at @nights_movie, and YouTube. I made a custom URL, youtube.com/c/movie nights. I think that's it. That's probably fucking wrong, and it's going to be embarrassing, but I think that's it. I think that's it.
We'll fact check that after.
Yes. But just go to YouTube, go to the search bar, Movie Nights. We're the first one. You got this. Thank you.
Yeah.
But thanks guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Adios.